right, Fast and Furious Part 9 is out, the new Hobbs and Shaw movie. So how is it? Well, we're going to get into spoilers. We're going to review the movie today, spoil the heck out of it, just tell you everything that happens in there, and go through what might seemingly be Easter eggs. Some of them are not entirely positive, but we'll just go through them one by one. You can let me know what you think in the comments. All right, so again, big spoiler warning. From here on out, just gonna talk about the movie freely. Watched it last night in Dolby Cinema. Pretty good presentation, not amazing, not like true 4K presentation. This looks like one of those movies that had a 2K digital intermediate. That's fine, sound was great, looks great. Probably gonna have pretty good HDR on home video. But getting into the movie itself, so to start with, very beginning of the movie, starts with the song Time in a Bottle, Jim Croce's classic, which you may also remember from X-Men Days of Future Past. I know that was a long, long time ago now, almost 5 years, 2014. But that was a pretty key song in Days of Future Past because it's where Quicksilver basically puts time in a bottle and then is running around the room, running around the kitchen, setting things up so that him, Charles Xavier, and Magneto can't escape. So using that song again in an action movie like this, I mean, if you're not going to make it better than Quicksilver, the Quicksilver scene, why even try? But that actually comes back at the end of the movie too. That song is in there a couple times. Another thing on the soundtrack was this continues the Fast and Furious tradition of having a rapper be an actor in the movie. Maybe not obvious on the face of it, but Black Superman, Idris Elba himself, does have a track on the soundtrack. It's like the Hobbs and Shaw main theme. So Ja Rule did it, Ludacris has done it a couple times, Lil Bow Wow's done it, and now add Idris Elba to the list. All right, next up, there are a lot of things in this movie that I felt like I've seen in other movies before, so I'm not going to say they're just stealing from other movies or even doing an homage. Like, it may be unintentional at certain points, but some things, there's some heavy borrowing, and it really seems like they had to know. They had to know what they were using. An example of that is if you listen to Idris Elba's motorcycle and when he's chasing Hobbs and Shaw at different points in the film, and with the helicopter chase at the end of the movie, Transformer noises. You're going to hear these. Like, if you've seen the Transformer movies, there's not going to be any, there might be some confusion about why there's Transformer noises in this movie, but you're definitely going to hear those noises in Hobbs and Shaw. Next up, another big, I think this movie owes a debt not just to the other Fast and Furious films in this franchise, but a huge debt to the action stylings of the Matrix films. And maybe that shouldn't be too much of a surprise because the director of Hobbs and Shaw, David Leitch, was a stunt player on the Matrix sequels way back in the day. So if he's going to be borrowing stuff, why not be borrowing stuff from a movie he had previously worked on? But the final battle, which is Hobbs and Shaw versus Idris Elba in the third act in the rain, is very, very similar to the Super Burly Brawl from Matrix Revolutions. Right down to the slow-mo getting punched in the face with the rain coming down again in slow-mo. It was just, I was like, they have to know what they're doing. They have to know where this is coming from. Another bit, philosophically speaking, from the Matrix films that comes up in Hobbs and Shaw is this point of view that you don't really know someone until you fight them, or you get a better sense of their personality when you fight them, which is also maybe a bit of an extension or a change from that theme in prior Fast and Furious films, where they would talk about, I'll show you the car, or show me the car, I'll show you the driver, or show me how you drive, I'll show you who you are, that sort of thing. And in this movie, it's like, show me how you fight, show me who you are. And again, that's something that also came up in the Matrix sequels. Saroff says something to that effect in The Matrix Reloaded. Another thing that comes up is, Vanessa Kirby's character in this movie, the Shaw sister. She uses some fighting maneuvers that, crushing people between her legs, very similar to, if you've ever seen Goldeneye, Xenia Onatopp as portrayed by Famke Janssen. Seems similar to me, but probably not just outright stealing from GoldenEye. I mean, you can think that up on your own, I'm sure. Another stuff. Whenever Idris Elba, you see things from his point of view, it's got that sort of Terminator readout, like he's half man, half machine. So that's almost a trope at this point, to see it from the machine's point of view or the cyborg's point of view. Just that readout of, here's the enemy, here's how dangerous they are. Straight from Terminator, or also reminded me a little bit of if you played the last Detroit Beyond Human game on the PS4. Seems a little similar to that. I thought this was a Die Hard reference, but I think I'm wrong at this, because at a certain point, Jason Statham goes undercover, he gets a false identity as Franz Gruber, and I was like, oh, okay, not Hans Gruber from Die Hard, but his brother, right? Hans and Franz, but no, the brother of Hans from Die Hard with a Vengeance was Simon Gruber, so I don't think that was a reference to Die Hard, but something that just stuck out. Another thing like that just stuck out to me, but maybe not a reference, is the plot point of Vanessa Kirby injects herself with a virus, which right out of Mission Impossible 2, if you've ever seen that. Again, maybe not on purpose for that one though. And that's also pretty much the overarching plot of Resident Evil, Wesker in complete global saturation, creating a virus that will wipe out most of the populace to leave those remaining even stronger. So plot points from Resident Evil, also plot points in Hobbs and Shaw. Talk a bit about the cameos in this film. We haven't mentioned it yet, but maybe you've already seen this spoiled. If not, again, big spoilers for Hobbs and Shaw. Ryan Reynolds has a big part in this, and so does Kevin Hart. But, in my opinion, when Kevin Hart shows up, it just makes me think, well, you've already got Tyrese, and Tyrese might be funnier and more appropriate for a Fast and Furious film. So why not just give him the part? Why not just bring him in for a bit of comedic relief? He's already doing it. But, not bad. I just don't get why they bring in Kevin Hart when they've got Tyrese. The other thing is Ryan Reynolds' cameo, and also maybe, it's unclear, but pretty sure he was also the voice of the Tron-like MCP Master Control Program that they call Etion in Hobbs and Shaw. He's the voice of it, but is he supposed to be the same character? Is he going to be revealed as a bad guy in the sequel? Only time will tell. They use a couple numbers in Hobbs and Shaw that made me think of other films, but maybe just a coincidence. At one point, one of the characters, I forget who, says it's not 1955 anymore. That always makes me think back to the future. And when Idris Elba is talking about how much the actual human body is worth, if you kill somebody and you just sell them for parts, spare parts, how much is the mineral content of the human body worth? And he says it's about $350. And I was thinking, sounds about like how much the Loch Ness Monster asked for me one time, about $350. I think it was a mistake to take Neil Moritz off as a producer on this one. They did some sort of workaround, and so even though this is a Fast and Furious movie, it's not an original film production, and it's not produced by Neil Moritz, who's produced all 8 Fast and Furious films before this one. Didn't see any name on the credits. I know I read about this, there was a lawsuit at some point. Wonder if that's ongoing, if they'll sort that out. But again, from my point of view as a fan, I think it's a mistake to not have him produce a Fast and Furious film. I really think it loses something without his involvement. Just like I thought it lost something not having Tyrese's involvement. And, on the whole, the movie Hobbs and Shaw, I think, would probably be better if the rest of the crew that we care about, that the fans care about, was involved in some way, even if it was a smaller part, But them not having any involvement, no Vin Diesel, no Dominic Toretto, no Michelle Rodriguez, etc. It's a bummer. It's too bad they're not in there. What else in there? A couple bits they homage to themselves. Earlier Fast and Furious films, the whole runway sequence from Fast and Furious 6 is definitely something that is... It's in their heads when they're putting together that final helicopter chase with the trucks on Samoa, filmed in Hawaii in the third act. It's very similar to that, and you'll see why once you've seen the movie. The whole last sequence of the film where they're going to go back to home and like draw up defenses there. I was trying to rack my brains, where else have I seen this before in movies where the heroes have to bunker down for one last stand? And I think that's something that's even in a trailer for a movie coming out after this one. The next Rambo movie looks like it's going to have one of those sequences. But other movies where I think this tactic is used a bit, or it's similar, is Home Alone, maybe Return of the Jedi, but it looks like it's closest to the upcoming Rambo. So you can't really say Hobbs and Shaw is ripping off a film that hasn't come out yet, of course. Too many Game of Thrones references. I'll say that. Too many Game of Thrones references. And they must have known what movies were influencing them, because they throw up some posters in the Hobbs custom shop. Near the end of the movie, they got Beverly Hills Cop poster, they got a 48 Hours poster, which I'm sure is a reference to the original, buddy cop, or buddy cop, they're not quite buddy cop movies. And the other one, Cobra, with Stallone. So I think they knew that they were pulling from them in some ways, but I don't think that says much as say they were lifting from the Matrix films. But overall, what would I say about this? Well, it's good. It's not great, it's good, but a lot of Fast and Furious films have been great, and in my opinion, perfect, so a step down from that is kind of a bummer. But let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time.